You are listening to Thoughts of the Week.
Black oil producers. All right. And incidentally, it is titled Black Oil Producers. Okay. As automobiles increased in popularity, Black entrepreneurs knew they would need gas and oil to operate. So they began to develop supportive businesses with the emerging industries. Excuse me. I'm gonna read that again. As automobiles increased in popularity, Black entrepreneurs knew they would need gas and oil to operate, so they began to develop supportive businesses with the emerging industries. In 1930, Odessa S. Strickland and a number of other Blacks in Shreveport, Louisiana, pooled their financial resources and organized the Universal Oil, Gas, and Mining Company, the first and only Black-owned oil company in the United States. The Universal Oil Company was granted a charter on March the 2nd, 1931. With only $20 in the treasury, Universal, with its Black personnel, began operating and drilling its own oil and gas wells. Within a decade, the company had over 51 employees and 9 operating wells in Louisiana, Texas, and Kentucky that produced nearly 380 barrels a day. The company's oil was pumped and sold to major white companies. Realizing that Black landowners with oil deposits were not getting fair payment for their oil leases, royalties, and sale of their resources, Strickland invented an electronometer, which could locate, trace, and measure underground quantities of oil and gas. So this guy invented something that can trace quantities of oil and gas in the ground. Again, Strickland invented an electronometer, which could locate, trace, and measure underground quantities of oil and gas. Experts in the petroleum field felt his machine was the best and most accurate for locating oil deposits. By the late 1930s, Blacks organized the Tiger Oil and Gas Company, another Louisiana oil company. So Blacks got together and created another company, all right? The Tiger Company leased land and drilled for oil in both Louisiana and Texas. Both Universal and Tiger survived bank collapses and the Great Depression of the 1930s. But as the nation approached social integration, there's that word again, of the late 1940s, Black Americans increasingly believed it was more important to have access to white businesses rather than for Blacks to have their own businesses. Okay, that was what was being destroying Black folks. They wanted to be all under white folks and wanted to do what they wanted to do. What the white people was doing, they wanted to be under them, and that's what ended up taking everybody down. So there seems to be a theme back then in those times, and you can possibly even link that to today with a lot of people, with Black people's mindset. So let me read that one again here. Both Universal and Tiger survived. They survived bank collapses and the Great Depression. They survived the bank collapsing and they survived the Great Depression. Both of these Black-owned oil companies survived. Universal was one of them and Tiger was the other one. All right. But as the nation approached social integration of the late 1940s, social integration came in there. So I'm wondering if somebody, if this was planned with a group of people, was this planned to kind of put in social integration? Black Americans increasingly, because of social integration, believed it was more important to have access to white businesses rather than for Blacks to have their own businesses. Within a generation, Black-owned oil companies had gone out of business. All right.